The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, hi, and welcome to class training for today. As usual, I will just give us a couple more minutes, probably not that long, just in case we've got a few more joining. There are still a few more coming in. I'm just sort of pointing to a couple of these things here in case people still need to connect to audio or something like that. Okay. We will begin very shortly. Okay, but before we do begin, CLCs Australia would like to acknowledge the original owners of country throughout Australia and its collection of surrounding islands. I'm currently on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I myself have connection to the lands of the Awabakal people. I'd like to pay respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all mob here with us today. I'd also like to note that these lands were never ceded and that sovereignty has never been extinguished. I'd also like to send best wishes to any mob living in remote communities that might be at risk from the Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus. Hoping all mobs stay strong and safe in these times. Okay, a little housekeeping. This software won't allow you to unmute yourself, so if you do have a question for us at any time through the session, feel free to submit that question in the questions section of your control panel. And this session is being recorded. It should be available on our website by the end of the week. Also with us today, we have Oliver Moore facilitating our session with us today. So we'll send out thanks to Oliver. Okay, welcome to class training. This is a session today for class administrators. So if you're more of a general user of class, this may not be the session for you. Today we're running through user management and admin tools. So this is for people who create and delete user accounts for people who work at centres and things like that. Let's have a quick look at an overview of the session and we'll get a bit more information about it. So right there at the top is user management, and then the rest of it are the admin tools. So things like your message board, bulk inserts, your printout and email templates, merging clients, things like that. Actually, we have a poll for you right now. Oliver, if you could launch that one right now, please. We'd like to know, do you want us to take you through geolocation and retagging today, yes or no? We ask this because we also have a demonstration of the new document management system, or DMS, that we are installing into class recently, or up soon. And we will do a little demonstration of that at the end of this session. So we kind of want to keep things a bit lower. So should we skip it? We've got 60% yes and 40% no. Okay. That's a little bit closer than I was hoping for. Anyway, I may go through it very quickly at the end of the session. If people do want to know what that means, let us know. Pop a question in and we'll see if we can get you some information about it. There might be something on our website about it, or we might be able to point you to a video of another training session where it is explained. Okay. So why don't we get started today with user management. So we'll go through the entire system from start to end. So in terms of security, so excuse me, so it's the role of a class administrator, the people who have been tasked with setting up accounts for new employees, and this is where the security comes in, removing access to class for people who may have moved on from your centre, or or may be on extended leave or something like that. So there is that responsibility for class admins to manage security and to manage the user accounts themselves. You can come to us at the help desk to ask us for help, but because we're not employed by your centre, We're not legally really supposed to be touching any of your user accounts, though we can. We're just legally not really supposed to be. So that's kind of a bit of a brief sort of overview of security. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. So what we'll go through now is so creating users, then we'll go through roles and permissions, we'll go through passwords, and then terminating and deactivating accounts. Okay, so let's flick over to class. Here's class. I've already logged in, and I think we're starting with creating users. I'm just going to flick back to my slide just to remind myself. Apologies for that. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so to find user accounts, where we start is in the bottom left of the screen. I'm just going to bump my zoom up a bit just because I think that just looks that little bit nicer. Okay, so in the bottom left here, we get system settings. If you click on that, we go to our secondary navigation menu. And here we have user accounts. Now, I'm going to pause already and explain something to you. And I'm going to use one of our favorite quotes at class to explain this for you. At some time, one of our most experienced class users at CLCs Australia said something along the lines of, class is not too difficult, it's just not very intuitive. And the user management system in class is a perfect example of that, because you would think that, and we'll come back to this again later, but for now, what we're focusing on is that you would think that if you want to create a user account, you would just come to user accounts and maybe click new or something like that. Right there, don't do that. That's not how the system works. You would think that would be how it works, and that is the intuitive way to do it. That is how any normal person, for want of a better phrase, would think that this works, but it doesn't. So I'm going to close that. So if you want to create a user account in class, this is how it does work. You come to system settings and then you click workers. So now I need to stop and explain something else to you as well. And that is the worker accounts. So we've got worker accounts and user accounts, and I'll explain the difference to you. And this is a perfect way to explain the worker accounts to you. This one here says board member. So we recommend that you enter anyone into your system who needs to show up in conflict check search results. So anyone on your board, we recommend even any tradies who may be coming into your office, who might have even just the chance of seeing some confidential client information on a screen. We recommend all of those kinds of people go into class as workers. You give them all a worker account, and when you do that, all of these people will show up in conflict check search results. And then you can manage those conflicts however you like that way. So it may not be just board members and tradies. There may be a whole slew of kinds of people that you need to enter in as workers. We recommend putting them all in. Okay, so if you do, say you've got a change in the board, you've had your AGM and a couple of people have finished their term on the board, and you've got a couple of new board members, you need to enter them into the system as workers, so they will show up in conflict check search results. You would come into system settings, workers, and then you can click new. And even if you have a new employee who's starting with you, this is the way to set up an account for them as well. So the worker accounts don't have the ability to actually log in and do anything with class. Only the user accounts have that ability, but if you want to set up a user account, this is the way you do it. Come to workers, click new, and set up a brand new worker account. And I'm going to enter this in, even though I've already seen in that previous list that there are already people in there who haven't been deleted. So I clearly haven't done this very well. Now I can't even remember my email address. Samuel CLCAS. Now I'm just going to go something like that, and I will come back to that in just a second as well. Okay, now these are the required fields: first name, last name, and an email address. Now you can enter as little or as much other information about this individual as you would like. When it comes to the email addresses, what I did there is I put in an email address and then this plus symbol and a number. Now, if I remove that plus symbol and the number, it's a personal email address for me, but it's one that I only use for work. I don't use it actually for personal stuff. I only use it for work stuff, but it's a secondary account, secondary to my main work email account. Anyway, never mind that. What you can do with class is you can put in an email address. Then if you enter a plus symbol and a number, class will ignore any or it will ignore all of that information, the plus symbol and the number. So you can reuse email addresses. So if you do need to, that is the way to do it. Otherwise, the email addresses for all accounts must be unique, and they have to be unique across class. And I will be mentioning this again later in the session, possibly several times. So with the class accounts, the email addresses need to be unique. So that means that if someone at another center, they may be on the complete opposite side of the country, it doesn't matter if they've already got the email address attached to a class account, you won't be able to use it and you'll have to use a different one. Okay, once you've entered in the information for your worker, this worker account where we're setting up, you simply click Save. Now, I just want to really quickly mention, I don't really recommend the Save and Close button unless you're just setting up a board member or someone like that. If you're setting up an account, a user account for a new employee at your center who needs to use class, I will recommend clicking on the Save button. And hopefully the reasons for that will become pretty obvious very soon. So this is the second part of setting up a user account for your worker, for your employee. So you set up the worker account. Now we can see a button here with a nice big yellow icon, and it says Create System Login. So that's exactly what we'll do. We'll click on that button, and that will let us set up a login for this employee. So, okay. Now, once we come here, we've got one more piece of information which is required, and that is the username, as we can see. And again, these must be unique. And we do see people setting up their usernames as just their given name, like John. I'm not sure if that's actually a username in class. It may be, it may be not. You could have something like that, but if someone else on the other side of the country or wherever they are, might be in the same center, might be in a completely different center, it doesn't matter. If someone else has got that username, you won't be able to use it. I might actually even demonstrate it. Well, that shouldn't work. Hopefully it won't, it might. I will see what happens. Okay. Yep, someone already has the username because that's the username for one of my class accounts, and you can't use it. You have to choose another one. All right. What often what people do is use their email address. That's pretty common amongst not just class, but all kinds of systems around the internet. Use your email address as your username. If you want to do that, go right ahead. Okay. Now, so we're setting up a user account here, and part of this is roles. Let me just flick back to my slide really quick. So creating users, we'll finish that off in just a minute. We're going to dip into roles and permissions now. So this is another part of the system which is not super intuitive, and we see people getting it wrong all the time. So I want to explain this pretty thoroughly. So let's get started. So on this user account screen, we've got two main sections to the screen, really. This top section where your general information and login credentials. A really quick note here, you probably want to leave the authentication type and security policy on the default settings. if you do change those, people may have trouble logging in. So we really recommend leaving those on the default settings. Now, if I scroll my screen to the bottom, we get the user permissions section of this account right here. Okay, so we've got three main sections to this section. Anyway, the one on the left is roles, and we'll start with that one and get back to the other two a bit later. Okay, now roles. This is the important part of roles and permissions. There's a lot of stuff in here, and it's not super intuitive. But if you do get this wrong, that can make things a little bit harder for your employees. They may not have the things they need in class if this is not set up correctly. And I'll show you the way that the system has been set up to work, even if it doesn't make sense. Okay, this also may not look like what yours looks like. We've got a whole bunch of stuff in here. This is the CLC's Australia instance of class. So we've got a whole bunch of testing and demonstration stuff set up in here. So yours probably won't look much like this. Anyway, there are four main roles in class, and this is the important part. The four main roles in that a class account can have. And those four main roles are volunteer, general staff, and then there's class admin and class admin advanced. Now, each account should only have one of those roles ticked. So we've got a little checkbox beside each one. You only want to tick one of those boxes. So I'll tick volunteer. And the levels of permissions go up. So volunteer has the lowest, and so maybe you give someone the volunteer level of access, and then you realize, no, we need them to have more access, so you tick general staff access as well. What happens if you do that is that the system reverts it to the lower level of access. So the person using this account won't actually get general staff access unless you untick volunteer. So the way that the system has been set up to work is that each of these accounts should only have one of those four main roles ticked: volunteer, general staff, admin, and advanced admin. And if you do want to know what the difference is between the roles, we do have that written down. Let us know and we can send that to you. We may even have it on our website. I'm not quite sure about that. Anyway, the other thing we can do is say we want to give someone general staff access, but that doesn't give them access to, and this is just as an example. This is just for demonstration purposes. I'm not saying this is exactly how it works, but maybe you give them general staff access, but they don't have access to something like accountability, but you want them to do the accountability reports for you. You just want to send them the documents and say, just stick all the figures up into class and this is the accountability reports for me, please and thank you. You can do that. You can give them general staff access, and then we've got all these add-ons, and you can tick this add-on, accountability, or any of these add-ons, and that will give them that extra permission as well. So you can mix and match that way. So you can give them one of the four main roles, and then you can give them a bunch of add-ons. And we've got this other one here, which you may or may not have, data import. If you don't know what that means, I wouldn't recommend using it. It may not be available to you anyway. Okay, so that's how that system works, the four main roles and then the add-ons if you want to give them extra permissions. Now I'm going to untick accountability. So this account that I am setting up, which I'm creating, actually that's a great time to stop and let you know one other thing. When you are changing these roles, ticking buttons and unticking these checkboxes, we recommend waiting for those spinny wheels to stop before you try and do something else. So if you're trying to click that one and then just click that one again straight away, that could cause problems. There's a lot that happens in the back end of class. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but there's a lot of checking and ticking and a lot of stuff going on in the back of class when you do that. So you probably just want to wait for those spinning wheels to stop before you go on again. Okay, so Let's move on again, and we'll have a look at this middle column, and this says write name. Don't ask me why it's called that. I couldn't tell you. Anyway, what it is a list of the permissions that this account has. So what you can do with this is remove permissions for someone. So as well as giving someone, say, general staff or maybe volunteer, one of the lower levels of access, and then giving them add-ons to do extra things, you can actually give them a higher level, or you could even give them, say, general staff or even volunteer, and then take away the ability to do certain things as well. So I'm going to choose something at random here, something right at the top of this list, module class, entity actions. Maybe we don't want this class admin to create actions. I don't know why you would want to do that to someone's account, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Let's just pretend that's what we want to do. You can untick that box, and that will remove the ability for this class account to create or add actions. Again, don't know why you'd want to, but that is what you can do. Now, I'll move on to this column in the right, excluded write name. As you can see, there's nothing in there. When I save this account, that permission that I have removed will display in this column here, excluded write name. So if you want to see if someone has the ability to do something, you can open their account, and we'll come to this in a bit. And you can have a look in here to see if any permissions have been removed. So that's pretty much roles and permissions. And we're pretty much to the end of, I'm just going to flick back up to the top, we're pretty much to the end of creating accounts as well. I'm just going to click save to save that account, and I've just created a new account in class. So that is how you would create an account. And there's our overview of roles and permissions. Okay, and there's our new account saved, and it's making a liar out of me. That hasn't shown up, that thing hasn't shown up in excluded write name, but it will at some stage. In fact, we may have a look at it right now. Let me flick back to my, before we get on to passwords, I might just go and do a demonstration of this just really quickly. Okay, so the user accounts thing, button or link that we have in our secondary navigation menu here, we'll go and have a quick look at it. So the reason you would click on that is to have a look at someone's account. So if you want to find someone's account, you could just do a search for something like that. I'll show you, no, it's not in there. I'll show you one because it's the username. I'll show you one tip here. If you wanted to see all of your accounts, we know some of the centers have, over the years created hundreds of class counts. If you open it up and there's just way too many accounts to scroll through, this is a good little tip. You can just put a yes in the active checkbox, hit enter, and that will give you only the accounts that are active. If you're looking for inactive accounts, you can put a no in there, and that will find those for you. This is the account I just set up. I was searching for delete, but that's the display name. So you may want to search in display name for the person that you're looking for, because their username may not contain their actual name. If you want to have a look at someone's account or edit someone's account, change their permissions, change their username, which you can do simply by clicking this button, and then you can change the username. You can change their email address, any of their other information, and we can see in here in excluded write name, this will now display all of the permissions that this account does not have. Okay, now I will move on to passwords. Okay, it's pretty common that someone forgets their password. For whatever reason, you may need to reset a password. It's pretty simple. We can see a nice blue link there, right there. If you need to reset someone's password, just click that. Click yes, won't matter. That's only going to my Gmail account. And it will send an email, and the person who owns this account will get an email. The email will be sent to that email address that is attached to this account. I think that's about all I've got to say about resetting passwords. That's pretty much it. That's how you do it. Okay, we can move on to terminating and deactivating accounts. I should probably flick those backwards because I'm going to start with deactivating. So we have technically 3 options to us here. And for the first option, I might give an example of someone who is maybe they're going on maternity leave and we're expecting that they'll probably be back to work with us at some time in the future, however long that is. Anyway, what we want to do is we don't want their account sitting there active. We don't want, we want to be a bit more secure than that. We just want to make sure that the account can't be accessed by anyone while this person is on extended leave. So we can see right here, we've got a checkbox which says active. You can just tick that, click save. That will deactivate the account and no one has access to that account. Then when mum comes back, baby's born, everyone's happy and healthy, and mum is back to work, we can simply find this account, open it up, tick active, click save, and that account will now be active and mum can use that account again. That's our first demonstration. That's for just deactivating an account. For the second and third ones, it's a bit more serious than that. This may be for when you have someone who perhaps they've decided on a change of career, they've left the sector, gone to an entirely different sector, and we expect that they're probably never going to work for us again. What you might want to do is terminate their account. Now, I think an account needs to be active if you want to terminate it, but you can activate and deactivate accounts pretty quickly and easily. I'll show you what happens when you terminate an account. Okay, so we get this message here. If you want to temporarily cease this user's access, blah, blah, blah. This is basically everything that I've been saying, except that the email address for this account will get changed. Once you terminate this account, this is basically what I'm going to show you right now. All of this sort of stuff here, that word terminated and some sort of number will be added to the start of, and an underscore will be added to the start of the email address. I'll just click yes and we'll see exactly what happens. And so now this email address is not going to get any more emails to it from class, because if class ever tried to send an email, which it might try to send an email to this email address, that email address is never going to be found. So that is how we get rid of accounts that we think we're never going to want to use again. So that's the second demonstration. Now I just want to show you one third one. I'll do this fairly quickly. And in the course of doing this, what I'm going to show you is how to actually unterminate an account or determinate. I don't know what the official word is there. I don't know if there is one, to be honest with you. Anyway, this is essentially what I'm doing is removing the termination of this account. I'm just going to remove all of that stuff from the beginning of the email address and reactivate this account. Click save. Now what I can do is simply change the username and remove all of that, and that account will be unterminated, determinated, probably not determinated. That's, I'm fairly sure, a word, but not the word I want right now. Anyway, please ignore that. That will reactivate this account if you change that username. And so the third option I've got for you is if you want to make absolutely certain that this class account can never be accessed, or if you want to give, if you want the highest probability that this account will never be used again by anyone ever, what you would do is change the username. So you could change it to whatever you want, something like this account will definitely never be needed, blah, blah, blah. You can change it to whatever you like, and then click save and close. You could put a random string of letters and numbers in there, and then you would terminate the account. That gives this the highest probability that no one will ever use this account again. So those are the 3 options we have for deactivating an account, terminating an account, and then reactivating an account once you have terminated it. If this person has decided, well, I actually didn't like that sector as much as the community legal sector, I'd like to work at my community legal centre again. Okay, then we can actually remove the termination of their account that we did and reactivate their account if we want. If we want to make sure that this account is never used ever again, that is what you would do. Change the username, then terminate the account. That's our third option, and that gives us the highest probability that no one will ever use that account again. Okay, so that's pretty much user management. Where are we? Yep, that took me half an hour. There you go. All right. Yes, it's a little bit complex. It's not super intuitive, but that is how it works. If you do need help with it, always get to us on the class help desk, and I will be showing you, for anyone who isn't aware how to do that, I will be showing you a bit later. As for now, let's move on. I have a whole bunch of slides that I had forgotten about. Apologies for this. We've been through all of this. Okay, this is where we're at, audit logs. So we're moving on to tools for class administrators right now. First one we'll have a look at is audit logs, and what we can do with this is find out what happened in class. Some of these are more useful than others. Let's have a look. So while we're here in system settings, we might have a look at, what am I looking at? Audits, audit logs. Okay, audit logs. We have 4 of them. As I was saying, some of them are more useful than the others. A couple of these are kind of duplicates almost, not quite, but sort of. Particularly the user authentication log. I'm going to open that one, then I'll flick back to the list of audit logs that we have, and then the user session log, and I'll open that one as well, and I'll come back to the data audit log and the exception log. Let's have a look at the user authentication log. So this gives us a record of who logged in and when. So this is me. This is the account that I am logged into, and this is telling us that on today, that's today's date, at 9:25 a.m., I logged into this instance of class on this IP address. I have no idea what any of this means. If it means anything to you, then great. If you want to know what any of that means, you can ask us, but I don't know if anyone on the class help desk knows about this stuff. Anyway, we could try to find out for you if you wanted. The domain, that's probably always going to be centre.classlaw.org.au, most likely. The reason is only there, I'll show you one in a minute. The status here is saying allowed, so that means that I was allowed to log in, and I logged in. Now, here we go, denied. The status is denied. And that's why we have the reason column. So denied is telling us that the user was not able to log in, and the reason for that is that it says here you have 9 more retry remaining. Your account will be locked for 10 minutes if you fail in the next attempts. That means the next 9 attempts. That means the person got their password wrong, typed their password wrong, and wasn't allowed in. And as we can see, I've got their password right on the next try. So if you want to see if someone's allowed to log in, or why they weren't allowed to log in, you can use this user log to find out that information. Okay, let's have a quick look at the user session log. Okay, this is a little bit different, but again, fairly similar. Again, this is telling us that the account with this username, and that's the name of the person, logged in at this date, and that's incorrect. So just a quick side note here, this audit log, this stores the date and timestamps in something like Greenwich Mean Time. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's not your local time. I can tell you that for sure. We have had people ask us to fix that, and we are working on it, or I believe we are anyway. So it gives you the time that the person was logged in, and then the time they were logged out, which aren't going to mean much to you unless you want to convert times and do math or something like that. It will give you the duration that they were logged in, and the IP address that they were logged in on. So that might be one of the audit logs that, potentially not super useful, but if that might help you out, then that could be good. All right, I might show you the data audit log. So this one is for finding out what happened to records in class. And as we can see here, right here, these are all the things that I've just been doing. So the user is me. Okay, and this is the correct date and time. Today, audited for a user. So for a user account, I updated the user account. Now, if you want more information about what happened with this particular record, you can click on this link in the user column for this record, and that will give you a bit more information. Okay, so it's saying the field name username. Okay, so this is when I changed the username from terminated blah, blah, blah to whatever I changed the username to. This is what this is telling us. So that's how you can read audit log records from this audit log. I'll find another one just for the sake of it. Probably another one. What's a good one? I might try that one. No. Apologies, I should have this set up a bit better. Hopefully I can find one of the things that I'm looking for pretty quickly. It's not really happening. All right, some of those, I'll just mention that some of these get really, really long and there's a whole bunch of stuff in them. I'm not able to find one, but you get a whole bunch of records in here. It's just a matter of going through and trying to find the information that you're looking for. Okay, I might have a look at the exception log really quickly, but I might do this pretty quickly because this is one of the audit logs that I rarely use myself. The main reason for that being that none of this really means anything to me. It may not mean much to you either. It's probably unlikely that it would. We suspect that this audit log is here mostly for the use of the developers of class so that they can see error messages and things that have happened. And we think that that helps them, you know, in helping to fix things and whatnot. It's not even actually loading for me now, so I may not even demonstrate it unless it loads nicely for me. What I can do is, no, my class seems to be broken now. That's not good, and I think this may have happened the last time I tried to demonstrate this thing. Really annoying. All right, excuse me while I try to get set up again. And while we wait for that, let's move on. Those are the audit logs. Just give me a moment while I make a note. Exception log. And I'll actually get someone to look at that. Okay, and what are we looking at next? Center configuration. So this should be pretty quick, I would think. There's a bit of basic information you can see about your center. Let me just, oh no, sorry. Right, so in system settings down the bottom left there, you can click on center profile. There's not so much of a configuration in here, just there's a bit of a center profile. You can set up, I will mention one thing, you can set up contact details, things like that. You can enter your ABN and ACN if you want, addresses. Now this reporting administrator, I will make note of that. What that means is I've done a whole lot of work in this. Anyway, the reporting administrator, I'll show you, is a series of, it gives you the list of all of your user accounts in class, and you can select one of these. We have this one selected for us, not that it would matter, but you can select one of these, and whatever email address is attached to that account will get email notifications whenever there's a change made to an accountability report. So if you submit a report, or if your program managers, if they change the status of a report, so if they change it from something like submitted to something like rejected or approved, then the email address attached to this account will get an email to it. And the reason we've set this up is that your program managers will also get that same email. Okay, a little bit more here. We've got a few other tabs. Addresses. That's the address for us. Never mind that. Documents. We're coming back to that. I might leave this up here while I'm at it. That probably shouldn't be there. That document. Anyway. And then email servers. Okay. This I don't really know much about. It looks like one of our help desk people has set one up. I'll just click new and show you what they look like. I'm not by any means an expert in this kind of stuff. If you do want to set up an email server, or if you need to set up an email server, you can absolutely contact us at the help desk. And we do have people who know a bit about this, may not be experts, but know a bit about it and should be able to help you set one up. We've got one there, and we could potentially just copy most of those settings. You just come through and just choose a bunch of settings, give it a name, and then choose your settings and all kinds of things. And you can set up an email server, but again, I'm not an expert, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on this today. I might move on because I don't really know much about that. Okay, what am I going to talk about next then? That's basically the center configuration. There's not a lot there. It's basically a little bit of basic information. Okay, email servers. That was what I was just talking about. If you need help, we actually have to reach out to others to help us with that sometimes, but we will we will attempt to help you if you definitely do need that. Sorry, I'm just flip back now. Okay. Let's move on. The email log. So I'm going to flick over again. So it's records of emails that have been sent by class. Class sends quite a few emails. It happens regularly. So now I'm going to move from system settings to tools. And these are the administrative tools I was talking about. So we'll go through all of them. And we'll start at the top with the email log. Yes, and as I was saying, class does send quite a few emails. It's sending emails pretty much all day. And this will be where you can find out which emails were sent. So here's a list of them. Transaction failed, the server response was. So there's an email that looks like it wasn't sent. So if you're trying to do something like reset a password and the person's saying, look, I'm not getting the emails, you can come in here to see if that's true or not. Anyway, this may give you information that you can then use to say, well, yeah, no, they're not getting the emails. Oh, so annoying. Excuse me. What was I talking about? Email logs. Okay. That's basically it, really. So yeah, you can get some information in here about what emails were sent. It was sent by me, apparently. There's the date and time. Okay, that was the user, the password reset email that I sent. That was it. And here's the email address that was sent to, any copy tos, the email address that it was sent from, the subject, and then the status of it. And then if there's any error message, yeah, there we go. So this one says that this email failed to send, and so we get an error message for that. So that is basically your email log. Next up, we've got the message board. What does my slide say for this? Yeah, it's a basic Word doc editor. Let's go and have a quick look at it. That's what it looks like. When you click on message board, it'll come in here, and I'll just show you. When you click here, or when you open up class, you get these two message boards. This is our one. We set up this one and send messages to you on this one, including this message and these ones. And then you can set up your own one, and this is how you do it. Click on Tools, Message Board, and then you can change your, and it's just a basic Word editor. You can type your messages out and format them, and then hit Save, and that will be published to everyone in your center. Okay, the next one is going to be bulk insert. All right, this is a good one. So this is for information and referral services. Okay, so instead of entering every one of your information and referral services one by one, you don't actually have to do that. So we know that a lot of centers get people coming in all the time, and they'll come to the front desk and ask a question, and the response to that question is just, it's basically, here's a flyer, take this, and then you can go. Or it might be, here's a flyer, take that, and you can go up to Centrelink, and this is where the Centrelink office is, and then you just send the person on their way. That's fine. Instead of then having to open up class and go into new intake or however you do it and set up a whole new service. We did an information service, and we don't know any of the information about the person. We don't have any of the client details. You don't need to do that. What you could do is take a record of all of those that you do, maybe just keep a spreadsheet, a notepad and a pencil or whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. Just make a note of every one of them. And then at the end of the month, you can do a bulk insert. You would come to Tools, click on Bulk Insert, and you can set these up for each month of the year. So they'll be set up for, we haven't done one since April. Okay, so I'll set up a new one and show you how you do one. You would click on New, and then you would give it the year and give it the month. It will even suggest the month for you, which is nice. You can set up notes, whatever it is. If you want funding category, you probably need to select a funding category for this. Probably going to be something like generalist funding category or something, right? I might just select one at random. And then you can select your referral to types. Now, you're probably not going to put facilitated referrals into a bulk insert. To me, that just doesn't really make sense. If it does to you, that's fine. Absolutely do that. So you can select facilitated if you want, or leave it on simple if you like. I'll come back to this in a minute. I'm just going to click Save. Okay, record's been saved. We've got a brand new bulk insert. Technically, we haven't really done anything with it yet. Okay, so it's locked. Well, I'm going to unlock that and then click. No, I don't think I need to. No, I don't need to unlock that. So that's still locked. That one I didn't click Save, so that's still locked. Okay, I will come back to that in a bit though. Once you click Save, after you set up the year, the month, and whatever else was there, click Save, you get a new tab here, Details. Now, I probably should have warned you. I usually do. I seem to have forgotten to do that. I usually give people a slight warning. This looks pretty freaky, but don't freak out. It's not actually that scary. So I hope that didn't freak anyone out. But yeah, this is not that freaky. So what we do get is this massive grid, and what we can do with it is we can select the problem types that we refer to people away from us for, and then we can select who we refer them to. So maybe we refer them to Centrelink for child support. If you want to, you could add a number in there. No, that's because I didn't. So you do need to unlock this. Apologies for this. You need to unlock it to enter the numbers. All right, it's unlocked. Now I'll flick over to details, and hopefully that won't take as long to load. And as I was saying, you could put numbers in for all of the different problem types and who you refer them to if you want to. There is a way around that if you don't want to do that, and I will show it to you as soon as this loads. As we saw, that grid is pretty massive, so it takes a little while to load. So if you've got just a bunch of just general kind of pretty random informations and referral services that you've just counted up throughout the month and you just want to record them all in one hit, you can do that. What I'm going to do is scroll all the way to the bottom, and all the way at the very bottom we get our problem type listed as, oh god, it's a fair way down, other. Now, for the problem type of other, don't scroll back up, please. For the problem type of other, I'm going to move all the way to the very left corner. We've got information referrals, and we've got informations only, and we've got other referrals. So you could say we did 500 information, that's 50, 500 information services this month, and 600 referrals. And we haven't noted any of them in class. Those numbers are probably pretty high, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So you could say these numbers, you can just put them all in other and other referrals and just list those numbers in there if you like. Click Save, and that will save those numbers. Now, something that you're probably wondering is whether these numbers will show up in your reports or not. Now, this is what I'm going to come back to, or something that I said that I was going to come back to. I'm going to come back to it right now. That little checkbox locked, you need that locked for these numbers to appear in your reports. As soon as you lock this bulk insert and then save it, all of these numbers that you enter will appear on your reports, particularly the standard reports, things like your C03 and your S01, those numbers will appear in those reports. Okay, so that's basically the bulk insert system. I just, come on, hurry up and load. Anyway, all you have to do, there we go, that looks good. Anyway, all you have to do is click locked, click save, and that is then stored in class as numbers of information and referral services that your center has done. Okay, bulk inserts. Next, okay, printout templates. This is what printout templates do to my brain. So I gave you a little warning before there. I'm probably going to increase that warning for this one. Okay, so this is templates for how the things print out of your system. So if you want to print some client details, the service details, the list of actions, or a whole set of actions, or something like that, whatever you want to print out, a list of anything, reports, I'm not sure about reports, but things like actions, you can print out a whole list of actions or all of the details of a bunch of actions if you want. And you can change the way that those printouts look by changing the printout templates. Now, I'm going to click here. This little icon here is a set square and a pencil. Click here to design the printout template. Now, this is where I need to warn you, these are freaky. I also need to let you know, I don't know how these work. I'm showing them to you. And if you can figure them out, that's great. I would be impressed if you could. I don't really know how these work. We do have one person on the class help desk who is an expert in this kind of stuff, but one only. So if you do want help with these, we can help you set these up. We will even set them up for you if you want, or we can let you know how they work so you can set them up if you want. But there's a fairly long line, fairly big lineup of people who want these done, so it can take a while to get these done for you if you want them done, but we can do them for you if you want. Essentially, the way it works is that you put data in, so this is going to get data from wherever it's getting this data from, and it will put it into the printout for you, and there's a whole bunch of tools you've got. Again, I don't know how much of any of this works. A lot of this we've seen through other parts of class. I don't know what this is. Validate bindings, okay. All right, apparently you can do that. And then over here, I believe is where you enter your data sources on the data from this particular part of class. You can set the appearance, the behavior, all kinds of things. Again, I'm not an expert. I don't know exactly how these work. That's a really quick and brief overview of kind of not really so much how they work, but just what they are and what they look like. But that's about the best I've got for you. I wish I knew more about them, but I sort of don't really have time to study these too much, which is a bit of a shame, or maybe not, because I'm not that interested in this kind of stuff. It looks really complex to me. Okay, I might move on. The next one's probably just as bad. It's email templates, and it's instead of what goes into your printouts, it's what goes into your emails and what they say and what data is in them. So we've got the email templates here as well, and you can set these up as well. So the calendar file email, copy of center report submitted. Okay, that's an accountability thing. Copy of a copy, that's a good one. That's the calendar file thing. Now, if you click on this link in the name column, I'm going to click on it, but it's not going to show us much. That's not how you edit the email templates. This just gives you, actually you can edit them here, I think. Okay, I think this is how you edit them. And again, I don't know how these work. I just don't really have the information or the skills and knowledge about this sort of stuff, but let us know if you do want to know how these work, and we can let you know. I'm going to flick back here because I want to have a look at which one did I select. That one. I want to know what that button does. That was a little magnifying glass. That has even less in it. Okay, so for the email templates, you want to click on this link. For the printout templates, I'll flick back to the printout templates. I'll click on this link and see what this does. That one just gives us the basic information about the template. Okay, I'll close that. If you want to enter the if you want to edit the template, the set square and pencil tool. If you want to edit an email template, you ignore the icon there and you click on the link. Okay. Please excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Now, again, pretty brief on the email templates there. I understand. Again, I'm not an expert. Okay. Client merge. I was going to change that. Anyway, I do enjoy this part of training. Part of the reason for that is that I get to kind of let you know just how serious this kind of stuff is. And this is kind of where I'm getting at. This stuff, you don't want to go sort of mucking about with client merges. You don't want to do them willy-nilly. No, I don't. Okay. Excuse me while I'm just closing a few things here. Client merges, let's go and have a look. Okay. The reason I'm saying these things is that if you merge two clients together, and then you realize, oops, I did that wrong. That process or this process, merging clients, is irreversible. Now, we have quite a few people, not quite a few, occasionally, very occasionally, we will have someone come to us and say to us, we know you said that that process is irreversible. Could you let us know just how irreversible it is? Well, the truth is that there is one way to reverse this process if you do make a mistake, and that would be to go around to all 180 odd centers who have an instance of class and ask them if they would mind rolling back the database to just before the time and date that you made the mistake. And you may come to us and ask us to do that for you if you would like. Our response will probably be no, and you can go to all the other centers and ask them if they would be happy to do that if you would like to. You could probably try to imagine what their response would be if you try to imagine what your response would be if someone came to you and asked you if you would be happy to do that. Okay, that's the only way to reverse this process, so we recommend doing this process very, very carefully. Okay, now that I've said that, I will show you how it's done. Now, how you do it is you find a couple of clients. So you realize you've got a client in there and they've been duplicated, they're in the system twice. So you need to merge the two client records together. What you do is find the client records. So I'm going to enter a client record there. I just know that number and I know this one, 324. Okay, I'm going to click find client, and here's my clients. And the first thing we can see is here's the client name, and here's the client name for that client 1 and client 2. And they're completely different, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So what we're getting here are the names, and then the service records. And essentially what we can do now, okay, so this tells us full name, first name, last name, date of birth. Neither of these clients have a date of birth. They're listed because this is just all dummy data. If they were, it would be listed there. And then the service records. Okay, so if you do find two clients, you bring up their records here. You can merge them into the other. You can select client 2, and that will be the remaining client, and client 1 will be removed. The way my brain works is that I would probably select client 1, and that to keep that as the remaining client, and have client 2 removed from the system. Now, before you can even do this, you need to tick this checkbox, which has a warning message next to it. This is kind of, what do they call it? A EULA, an end user license agreement. This is basically saying you've read this and understand that if you do this and if you do this wrong, as I was saying before, this process is irreversible. So you do need to check that box to acknowledge that you understand that before you can merge these clients. Click the merge clients, and we'll give you another one. I'm not even going to do this because, and this is all dummy data, and this process still scares me, so I'm not even going to do it. But if you do that, everything from this client, I'll just click out of that. Everything from this client will be carried from here and brought across to here. So this client will be removed. All of the services will be available within this client, all the documents, actions, everything all gets moved across, and this client gets removed. Okay. We're traveling all right. That's client merge. Now, considering we're traveling all right, I will go through geolocation and retagging quickly, but I will do it fairly quickly. Excuse me again for just another moment. Actually, while I'm taking a quick drink of water, I may briefly pause and ask Oliver if we have any questions that I could handle at this moment.
Hi, Samuel. So we just have one asking for a bit of information about accessing class when working from home and the limitations of granting access to staff.
Okay, thanks very much, Oliver, and thanks to the person who asked that question. Okay, so yes, working from home. We're all working from home. I'm coming to you from my living room right now. So yes, your staff are able to work from home and able to use class from home. And thanks for that question, because that gives me the opportunity to let you know how class works. So we have a list in class. It's a list of IP addresses, and so if someone is trying to access class, class checks if they're coming from an IP address that is whitelisted, and if they're not, they don't get even the login screen. That's a bit of a security measure, and we're changing this, and I should have said this at the start, we're changing it pretty shortly. We're working on it, but we thought we'd go through how user management works now, and then we'll take you through what's changing when it does change. But as for now, we've got the whitelist, and most people's homes are not on the whitelist, so what they will need is it's something called a VPN. Now, if you don't know what a VPN is, it stands for Virtual Private Network. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Essentially, what it means is that you simply need to set up some basic information on your computer. Let me see what I can. Here we go. Okay, so I'm on a Mac, and on the very top right of my screen, I've got this little icon here. No, that's not it. This one here. This icon here is for the VPN. So essentially what you do is you run through a little process on your computer, set up the VPN, and you say you just have to put in a username and a password. You need to apply for those with us, and we'll send them to you. It's usually a class administrator or a CEO, center manager, someone like that who makes the request for us. We'll send you the login details. You set up the VPN on your computer. I'm definitely not going to click this right now because I'll probably drop off the call. So then when you're working from home and you want to use class, all you do then is simply connect to the VPN, and then you can access class. Then once you're finished with class, you can disconnect from the VPN if you like, but it doesn't really matter. So that's how accessing class when working from home works. What are the limitations of granting access to staff? As I was just saying, you need to apply for a VPN to us. You need to make a request to us for one for your staff members, and we will then grant that access for your staff to you. Okay, thanks for that question. Geolocation and retagging. Let's do this quite quickly. So I love this term. This is one of my favorite tech terms. Is that making sure your data is accurate as possible. Okay. This is one of my favorite terms in all of tech because it sounds so high tech, but it's not really. I'm going to drop over to class. I'm going to go search services, and I'm going to open a service. Any service will do, really. So geolocation and retagging, what it means is that all of these services, they all have an address attached to the back of them. Now it's the client's address. Now you can't actually see it when you open the service. So here we're looking at a service. It's an information service. Once this loads, we'll see this service type. There it is. Change to information. And as we see, there's basic data about the service itself. So it's characteristics, blah, 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 the problem type details, the service details, referral details, all of this sort of stuff, and then all of our test and dummy stuff. What we don't see here is an address, but attached to the back of every single one of these services is an address. Now, what can happen is that it might happen that you have a client that you're doing an ongoing service with, perhaps a representation service, and perhaps you deliver a regular service to that individual. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What may happen is that they come in, you deliver a service to them, and then they leave the office or the call lens or whatever it is, and then during that time, they let you know, oh, since I was last with you, I moved house. You say, okay, fine, no problem. And then you realize that you've entered a service into class with them, but you haven't updated their address in class. So then you open the client record, you go into additional details, you edit the client's address, put their new address in. Where's the address details? Here's somewhere. Down in the contact details. You give them a new address, mark it as primary, as their primary address, and all well and good, except that this service that you just entered will have their old address technically attached to the back of it. So what we do have is a feature to be able to update this service with the primary address of the client, so that this service will have the correct address attached to it. And again, the reason to do this is simply to keep your data as accurate as possible. When people are running reports and whatnot, they may want to find out which geographical areas services were delivered to, and this will help to keep all of that data as accurate as possible. So if you do want to update or re-tag a service with the correct address, you simply click this button here, retag. That'll say, hey, sure, you want to retag the service? I'm not too afraid of this warning message or this process. So I'm just going to click yes, and that will update the address in the back of class or in the back of this service with the client's primary address. Okay, so that is essentially geolocation and retagging. Again, not as high tech as it sounds, just a nice little feature of class that we have. Yeah, right. I'm just checking the questions there. The same person has asked, is there a limit to the number of VPNs you can request? They're saying they may want 12 people to have their own VPNs. No, there's not a limit to the number of VPNs you can have. You can have as many as you want, and there are centers out there who I can assure you have more than 12. So you can have as many as you want. We do recommend setting up one for each employee. You can share the VPN details and people can just log in through the same one. It won't make a difference because it all goes to the same server. So it's not going to make any difference if you do set up everyone on the one VPN. But for auditing purposes and whatnot, we recommend setting up a separate one for each individual. I hope that answers that question. Geolocation and retagging, that's basically what that is, changing the address on your services. Okay, finding documentation and getting help. I will go through this. Oh my God. I hope no one else can hear that. Apologies for this. That is really annoying. Just give me a moment. I should have set this up earlier. Okay, apologies for this and ignore what you're seeing here. Okay, all right. Now, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Documentation and getting help. All right, great. Apologies for that. There was a call coming in. All right. Okay, documentation and getting help. So this is how you can find information about things in class, how class works, all of that. We've got this button right up the top of class in the right, the question mark in a little circle. If you click that, that will take you across to our website. And it will open our website directly at the class documentation for you. The first thing I want to point out is that we've got a new portal for the help desk, but the second thing I want to point out is this navigation menu on the right side of the screen. That should appear in every page or almost every page of the class documentation. And the things we've been talking today, are probably here in the admin manual. Things like user management, things like that. If you're trying to do something in class, maybe set up an account, you want more information about security, maybe I didn't go through it adequately enough for you, I'm sure that's entirely possible. You could click on there and get information about it. If you're still not finding the information you want from the class documentation, then you can contact us at the help desk. And if you want to do that, you want to look in this right-hand menu for help and support. Click on that, and that will give you all the options you have for contacting the class help desk. Now, at the top, we've got some basic information here. The correct browser, Chrome. Class admins should know what that's about. Clearing your cache. That can just clean up your browser, and just sometimes that just makes things work again if things go a bit wiggy or something. Anyway, class help desk, again, class admins probably know about this, but I just want to repeat it just because I like to be thorough, and I just want, just in case there's anyone who doesn't have this information, I would like them to have it. So we have the class portal. I'll open that there and come back to it in a minute because we've got a couple of other options for contacting the class help desk, excuse me. This email address, you can email us at icthelp@clcs.org.au, and you'll get a response to your questions there. We also have a phone line, so if you call this number here, you may want to screenshot it or something. You call us there. You may not get through first time, but if you do not, please leave a voicemail. We listen to all of the voicemails and respond to every one of them. We also have the what do they call it? The self-help center, or it's the class help desk portal. Okay, so if you click into the class help desk portal, this is what it will look like. And up in the top right, we've got this button, requests, and you can have a look at all of your requests in there. I don't have any, so I'm not going to bother. Well, I think I saw some in there last week, but never mind. Now, once you come in here and you want to send us a question about something, account management, which is what we've been through today, so that might be a good demonstration for us right now. You would simply click on that, set up your question, click create, and that will create a request on the help desk for you, and then you can click up there to see that request and any responses that you may have gotten to that request. If it's not about account management, it might be about something else. We can't connect to class, there's been an incident, something else, you need a clarification, you have a request for an enhancement or a new feature of class, a request for more training, something like that. You could set up a question about some of those issues. We also support a couple of other systems on the class help desk, LexisNexis and the NAS portal, or it may just be general feedback or a clarification on something that may not relate to class. You could ask us that question as well. Okay, considering class admins probably know most of this, I might skip on through this pretty quick. We're making pretty good time here, actually. Okay, bio break. Now, I think we've got a poll here which is going to launch in just a minute. Basically asking, do we want 5 minutes off? Now, I've mentioned this term to people, bio break, and they say, what is that? Basically, it's a chance to duck to the loo really quick. I think we've got a poll. Hopefully, will be coming up here. Basically, bio break, yes or no? Do we want one or not? It's in progress. We're getting a 50-50 split. I had said to Oliver that if we get even 20% of people say yes, that we would duck off for a quick bio break for about 5 or 10 minutes. We've got 44% yes and 56% no. So we might duck off for 5 minutes, and I'll come back in about 5 to 10 minutes time. Thanks, Oliver. I'll see you soon. Okay, I'm back. I don't really have any way to know if everyone is back from their bio break or not. I do want to say thanks to those people who didn't want a bio break. Thank you for your patience. We thought it was only appropriate to ask, just out of courtesy, considering it's highly likely that we will go over 90 minutes today. Okay, I will move on, and it won't matter too much if people are won't be back for a minute or two because I will be blabbing on for a little bit. I'm going to do the DMS demo right now, and to do that, I want to kind of start from the start. The way my brain works is that I don't know who out there has what knowledge, so I just want to cover everything just so that everyone has the same knowledge at the end of this. And for those who will be sitting and listening to me talk about things that they already know about. Apologies for that. And again, thanks for your patience on this. So I want to start with SharePoint. I'll flick back over here. I kind of need to get rid of this. Yeah, okay, if I can get rid of that. I'm going to remove that and get rid of, sorry about this. It won't be too much longer. Get rid of this and put this up. Okay, great. SharePoint. Okay, now what I have on my screen here is this is Office 365. So as you can see, this is office.com. This is basically the front page, what you see when you log into Microsoft or when you log into office.com, which is from Microsoft. Now, this one may look quite blank to you. This is a new thing that we've set up just to test this document management system, which is why there's kind of nothing in here. As you can see, it's new. Now, for those who don't know, SharePoint is Microsoft's document storage app that they have. So if I was to click on that, which I don't really need to because I already have, it will take us across to this, which isn't really showing us anything. So I might just click across to here, which is a test version of class, which isn't working. Let me attempt to get this working for you. Okay. I'm also, in a little way, demonstrating MFA for you as well. Okay. So we will see SharePoint in a minute and what it looks like. If you wanted to know about SharePoint, you could really quickly just do a search for it, find out information about what it is. This is what it is. It's a collaborative platform that integrates with Microsoft Office, blah, blah, blah. You can have a look at the Microsoft web page, have a read about it there, have a look at the Wikipedia page, something like that if you wanted to. So that is what SharePoint is. Okay, I hope everyone's back from their bio break. If anyone has just joined us and missed a couple of minutes, we're doing the DMS demo. There it is. There's my slide anyway. And I kind of want to say, if I kind of muddle through this a bit, please excuse me. This is a very new feature in class. It's not even in class yet. This is just a demonstration of what we have set up and what we are planning to put into class. We would like all of your comments, questions, and criticisms of it, if you can, please. We would very much appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so I'll take you through the old versus the new. So we saw the, now I need to, here we go. We saw the old document management system in class just a minute ago, and now I can't find it. Here we go. Where did I go? Oh, here. Now I'm in a service here, and if I click through to documents, this is what the old document management system looks like. And apologies that this is, I've got my screen not in full screen, but we've all seen what the old document management system looks like. That was pretty ordinary. No one liked this system, so what we've done is developed a new one. Okay, so that's the old one. Let's go and have a look at the new one. And the first thing I want to show you is the new feature that we have called All Documents. Okay, so once you log into class, what you will see here below this navigation menu, and this is for the class section, is this new thing, All Documents. If I click through to there, this will open this page, which gives us a couple of buttons, as well as that little logo there, Anyway, we've got these buttons there. Open the DMS or close the DMS. I'll come back to the close. I'll show you what happens when you click open. So I'll click open, and what it has done is opened a new tab in my Chrome browser. I'll come back to that a bit later and show you some more about that. So what this does is bring us into SharePoint. Okay, now I've got a bunch of notes for you that I need to let you know about this. Now, the first one I need to let you know is that this will be a separate instance of SharePoint, or it will be a separate SharePoint. So you can have your own SharePoint, just like CLCs Australia has got. This is not our one. Thankfully, I get to demonstrate a different one to you. And this is just a demonstration one. And if you've already got one, if you've already got SharePoint set up and you're already using it, this won't overwrite any of the settings for your existing SharePoint. So that is good. What you do get when this is set up at the beginning is you get this default root structure, and this is what it would look like. Your clients will live in there, and then their services will live in there, and you can set up all of these other kinds of documents as well. Okay, before I go further into that, I want to go back to class and show you a couple more things. So I'll flick back to class, and I'll show you what happens when I click the close button. And keep an eye on this tab because it's going to close. There it goes. Okay. Now, let me see. I just need to remind myself what else. That's the all documents tab. So from in there, you could see all of your documents. You could go in and say, I need to find a document on client so-and-so, or I need to find, let's just say for demonstration purposes, you might need to find a document relating to an employee. You could just click all documents, open this up, click into there, and that will show you all the documents relating to the employees for your center. Now, here we go. We've got this. This is how SharePoint works. Everyone probably knows that. You get the, what I call a breadcrumb, which is good. I like that. Now, if you click into your clients, what you're going to get in here is client 1, client 2, client 509, whatever. Probably not a great way to find your clients, so I might just close that tab for now, and that'll take me back to class. What I can do is go search clients. This demo version of class has one client. It's a busy center. All right. Now, if I open that client, I can come across to the Documents tab. And what we'll see is the exact same thing we just saw, open and close button. If I click the open button, that'll open the new tab, and it takes me directly inside the folder for that client, which is kind of basically the way the system used to work. So if you're looking for, or if you've got a client record already open, or you've got a service record or something else already open in class and you want to find the documents, you can still do it that way as well. Okay, client and service documents, all documents have been through that, settings. Okay, so, oops, that's not what I wanted to show you. Oh, that's not it either. Where am I here? Sorry, apologies for that. Settings. There's a bit of a setting in here that I need to show you. So if I hover over my name there in the top right, and then I click account, that will open up my account, and we've got a new setting in class here. It's this document tab preference. Now we've got a few options in there, those being the center default, a new tab or a new window. This was set on new tab, and as you saw before, when I clicked on the open documents button, it opened it in a new browser tab. Now the center default, now to be honest with you, I don't know exactly what that is, but my guess would be that you can set up a default for the center, and it will be either a new tab or a new window. And if this setting is set to the center default, then that is what you'll get. Let me change it to new window, and I will show you what happens. I'll save my account. It's been saved. I'm going to close this tab, documents there. And then I'm going to click on all documents again. When I do, we'll see that opens a new tab here, the documents tab. And then when I click on open documents, it opens in a new browser window. So you've got the option of either the new window or the new tab, up to you. You can have it either way. Now I'm just going to move this down, and then what we'll see is when I click the close button, it's going to close that window. Actually, when I click through, it will probably close, we'll probably bring this window to the forefront, but anyway, it has gone, that window is closed. So that's that setting that I needed to show you. Now notes, I have quite a few of them. I'm going to flick back over here. It's just, I don't know why. It's a little bit of a warmer screen. Anyway, it's a bit easier on my eyes. Anyway, okay. So now you can migrate your existing SharePoint if you store documents for employees, for clients, for things like that. You can migrate that stuff across to your new SharePoint that you get with the new document management system. Now, we'll only create an entity for a folder with a document in it. Okay. So some of your documents may not carry across if you do migrate. All right. So if you do, I know what this note means. If you do a migration, only folders that have documents in them will be carried across. So if you've got any empty folders, they won't get carried across. And then some of them may not appear in SharePoint until you actually click on that Documents tab. Where am I? Oh, here you go. So until you click on that, they're not actually available in the new SharePoint, but that's not going to matter much. It's just a quick note for you. I've gone through that note. Let's close any class tabs. Oh yeah. Now, let me go back to here. When you're doing this, if you're changing this setting, and I'm going to change it back to new tab and click save. Now, I'll show you what happens. I'll click back to this client and I'll click on documents, I'll click open, and it'll open in a new tab. This wasn't supposed to do that. Funny. Anyway, what you may find happening is that you need to close this tab. So I've got a client record open there. You would just need to close that once you reopen the client folder, that client tab. If you've changed the setting, it'll then open the way you want with the new setting that's been saved. Okay. Now, so we've done some testing around this, but testing has not completed on the new document management system. So what we have tested is that we've done a new intake and added a document to that. That works, apparently. It wasn't me who tested it, but apparently it does work. Merging clients has been tested, and all of the documents do carry across as far as we know. Now, we have not tested every single way there is to upload a document to class yet, because there are several of them, and we are still working on that. We will run this demo again next week, so we may have more information for you about it then. I do still have more notes for you. So the next one, user accounts have not been tested. What does that mean? I think you can upload clients to documents to user accounts. I'm not sure, but apparently that has not been tested. Anyway, the next note I have for you is to do with permissions. As we were looking at before at the start of this session, if you want to set up a user account in class and you want to give that person the permission to view client documents but not service documents, you can do that. You would change their account. You go to, we saw this just before, system settings, user accounts, open the account, and then you edit their permissions. You would remove the ability to view, I probably shouldn't have shown you that. Anyway, you would remove their permission to view service documents if you wanted to. If you do that, those permissions flow through to SharePoint. So all of the permissions that you set up, all the customized permissions that you set up that relate to documents, they will all flow through to SharePoint. One of the really nice things about this system is that you can set up document templates. that did open in a new window. That was interesting. Anyway, so if you want to set up new documents, you can set up document templates. We don't have them set up in here. These are the standard documents or document types that you can set up. What you can do is add a template. We've got them in our SharePoint, so you can set up one that's already got like the header and a footer set up with your centers document template with the logo and all the information that you want in your documents, which is a nice little feature. Okay, now that's about it for the notes that I had. I've just got a quick question here. Will we be able to link existing SharePoint client folders to class? Yes, you can. Yes, that you will have the ability to do that. Going back to what I was saying before, I think you'd do that through migration. You would migrate your folders from your existing SharePoint into your new SharePoint. But as far as I know, yes, you will be able to do that. Okay, I think that just about brings us to the end of this session. It's run a little bit early, which is always nice. We weren't quite sure exactly how this document management system demonstration would go. We have had one comment there that says that this is exciting. Thank you very much. We like that feedback. I think it's definitely high time that the DMS in class was updated, and I think this was a good choice too, just on a personal level. Okay, so I don't really have much else for you today, so I might throw back to Oliver just really quickly to ask if there are any other questions I can handle right now. And while I'm at it, I'm going to have a quick drink.
No, there's not, and it looks like Patrick Bartholomew at least is very excited about DMS.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. Thanks for those kind words. I've just noticed one other question that's just come through. Will custom columns be enabled? I don't know. Let's get some. Oliver, would you mind writing down that question and maybe get some contact details for the person who asked about the custom columns? We'll probably set up a question for you on the help desk for that question and see if we can get an answer to that question for you. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions come through, so I think we'll probably start wrapping this up. We'll start by saying thanks for being on this session. We really do hope these sessions help you. We really hope that document management system looks good to you. I don't mind the look of it, just personally. If you do have any more questions, comments, or criticism, please send them through to that email address. That's the help desk email address, and we will get back to you about all of that if you do send those through. So again, thanks very much for being on this session. Really do hope it did help. And special thanks to Oliver Moore for facilitating. Yeah, great job, Oliver. So thank you to everyone. And I think it's going to be good afternoon from us here at CLC Australia. Bye for now.